acting. Honey, no rings on me, ain't begging. Diesel, feeling a message. I kill it like Shaq, I'm Shaqin'. Bad little bitch, she savage. Hit it on top all night, I'm damaged. Bomb, 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 feeling a message. Bomb, 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 bomb.
Talk to me. Why have you been avoiding me so much lately? Did I do something wrong, or was it maybe something I said? I'm going crazy thinking about it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. It is time for the CCS revival. Welcome, all of you beautiful people, back to the Classic Championship Series. My name is Septi, joined alongside my wonderful color caster in Orion. How you doing, buddy? Welcome back to the CCS.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to be back. And it's been a long time, what, 3-4 years maybe since CCS has been kind of gone away. So it's excited to be get back to rolling.
Yeah, I'm super excited. We got an awesome lock-in tournament for you guys. The score is not currently 2-0 to Iota. You guys have not missed anything. Tonight for you, we have three best-of-1 matchups in a style that is sort of going to be like Group World stages, where it's going to be you play the same person as your record. So 1-0 will play 1-0, 2-0 will play 2-0, same down to the bottom. But we will be playing the winner bracket on this stream every single match tonight. I believe we are going to have a second stream running as well. That's going to be sort of a red zone type experience that will show you what's going on in the other games. That's going to be on CCS 2. But tonight, in this first game, I'm so excited. We are getting back into some CCS action. We got some household names in Dorado coming back, multi-time champions in the league. We had the Dorado sister team, Civil War, back in the day, that, you know, was really amazing. Some names people will recognize coming back. We have Sutek, who's going to be on XSV Hydra, who was a perennial player in the CCS. NBK, I believe, as well, was around in the past. But, you know, this is going to be some fun gaming we got going on tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to see, like you said, some future, or I guess previous names that we've seen for a long time. We've got names like Sutek, who's been in the league for a very long time around the scene. But I think I'm curious to see how XSV Hydra is going to play in their lock-in series today, because they are using two subs. One's an emergency sub, and one's a sub on the back end. So definitely not a full roster going into this first match. So kind of curious to see how their cohesion is going to be coming through. And then for Dorado Gaming Iota, like you said, staple name within a long time. They have a couple of players that are still within the organization from a long time ago, but still trying to recoup, or I guess resurface, the legacy that they've had within CCS for a long time.
Yeah, and they can get it going tonight with the championship in our lock-in tournament. This is all sort of just a fun little setup tournament for our Apollo League that's going to be starting next week on the 18th. Same time, same place. But tonight, there are stakes. We got a $250 prize pool. We have $100 going to the winner of the tournament tonight. And also, we will be having some Nemesis draft implications, which we'll explain a little bit more later. But it looks like we got a sneak peek at what the draft might hold, but we will see as to what order it might be in just a moment. But yeah, I mean, I may as well explain the Nemesis now just so we can get into it. Basically, the winner of this tournament is going to be able to decide two things. We're going to have 2 cross-group matches across the week, or across the season. And the Nemesis draft essentially is you will pick a team that is not going to be in your group for the entire season. So your standings versus their standings will not matter when it comes to playoff implications. You can choose not to play them in your group, but as a result, you are going to play them in a cross-group match. Everyone will play 2 cross-group matches. The other one we'll talk about more later. It's a little bit complicated, but we will explain it as we go. And we might be ready to go back into draft. I'm not quite ready. We still need a minute, but yeah, Orion, I wanted to ask you a question before we get into this. What does it mean for CCS to be back to you, and what are you looking forward to the most?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, obviously about 3 or 4 years ago when I was casting for CCS, I mean, it was one of those things where I felt like the league was definitely on an up and up. It was a great league to be around. I think the owners with Flay, Densoft, Silver, I think they do a really good job integrating within the community, making sure everybody's like, you know, constantly talking, and there's the trash talk, you know, there's like the camaraderie between teams and all that good stuff. So I'm really excited for everything to kind of be getting back into the swing of things. But also I think as well, like, just being able to see like who all is still like within the scene, still playing, and also the new kids up on the block, making sure they're trying to integrate their way within the scene and make it a staple for themselves as well. So, lots of storylines, lots of aspects to kind of figure out, kind of see who's going to go with what. But I'm curious to see how these teams approach this locking. 'Cause I know you mentioned the prize pool, you mentioned like the Nemesis draft, and a couple of things here and there. But for the most part, a lot of these teams are really trying to figure out like what their identity is and what they're trying to accomplish within these games. So usually with these first couple of games going through, probably not going to be the cleanest of games, but I would imagine a whole lot of comfort, a whole lot of ability to play around things that they know really well within solo queue, and figuring out just exactly what it means to win a League of Legends game as a team.
Yeah, absolutely. These teams are going to be working on their cohesion. And just to note, this is only going to be a fraction of the teams that will be in the overall tournament. We only have 8 representatives tonight, from what the hopeful 16 is, I believe, or maybe 14. I can't quite remember the number off the top of my head. I believe it might be 14. But either way, it is going to be very exciting to see which teams may be the favorites going into the season and which teams may or may not be the dark horse. Um, it's it's going to be interesting. The metas are wild currently with all the range top laners going around. We have some AP Xin Zhao nonsense that might be popping its head up tonight. Mid lane is, unfortunately fairly stale with the classic control mages, but I'm sure we'll be able to find some pretty exciting matchups, potentially some Aurora gameplay. I think I maybe saw someone plays Malzahar potentially as well, but it looks like we are ready to go on draft, as it looks like we're going to have a Dorado on the blue side and XSV on the red side for the time being, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I think we are good to go, as I'm getting currently spammed by sound in the background. Gwen going to be the first ban of this best of 1 series, a champion notorious for taking out a lot of the tanks and being flexible through the top and jungle.
Yeah, I was also seeing potentially, I think one of these, I think maybe CJ Lopez was also playing a little bit of Gwen, so maybe they didn't want to first pick it. And I think I recognized that the top laner, sorry, top laner for XSV did play a lot of those tankier champions on the top side, so maybe wanted to get rid of that option. But so far, just trying to get rid of it looks like just spamming away all the comfort bans, it looks like.
Yeah, and just so people are aware, in our draft, I know we have a spot in BKP there on the draft. They're going to be subbed in tonight. Unfortunately, they were a little bit busy, so we're gonna have Stubby playing in the top lane for Espada, and we're going to have Set Yuki playing for XBKP. And as we are moving into the first round pick, I'm really curious what it might be. There's a lot of powerful picks left up currently. The Xin Zhao I talked about before, Varus as well as one of those premier champions. Seraphine as well has been popping her head up as some champion, that has been very, very, very strong and very flexible between the AD carry and support position. But we'll have to see what Kali G decides to lock in here for this first overall pick.
Yeah, I think the thing with the Seraphine in particular, obviously she has very powerful duos. She's got Seraphine Misfortune, we've got Seraphine Ashe, but Ashe already being taken away. Like there may be the opportunity for it to come through, but I was seeing that Monoxia is a very aggressive AD carry player within solo queue as well. So he likes to play the Samiras, the Dravens, and all that good stuff. But Maddie is the one that is the big Ezreal player. So if it is going to be up for this left for the blue side here, it could be a straight up takeaway from Maddie in this game.
Yeah, no, Ezreal, very strong champion right now. Pairs really nicely with the Karma, so I'm curious if it's going to get back around. Ezreal, very notorious for getting priority in this lane, and it looks like the other side is going to be matching with the Varus, another champion that is likely going to be playing for that push. So two very poke-heavy bot lanes for the time being, and I'm curious to see if this red side here is going to full commit to that push bot lane, or if they're going to look to try and take another priority position.
Yeah, usually I was just about to say, usually a very powerful duo is the Varus Karma. It matches the Ezreal's poke very, very well in lane, and there's not really another support in the game besides maybe the Seraphine that's actually able to really counter out the damage and the poke that this lane actually has to offer. So I think it's probably a good bet to go ahead and match with the Seraphine, or else, because if you pick a melee support into this composition, you're going to get absolutely blasted. But instead, going with that Xin Zhao we mentioned already earlier, it has that AP Bruiser type of build, and going ahead and pairing up with the Enchanter and the Seraphine makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, Xinjiao, a great takeaway as well as it pairs very nicely with the Karma. You get those speed ups, you get that shielding. So being able to take that away and pair it with the Seraphine, as you said, a very nice combination. Also gives that Encore an extra rebound for the Xinjiao being in the front. I'm curious what build CJ Lopez is going to go for in this game,
Oh.
as it looks like we're going to get a Mundo on the other side. A very tough champion to deal with currently if it starts to snowball.
Yeah, one of those champions that does have a very fast clear, obviously in the jungle, but can still go into the top lane if necessary. So kind of a flexible pick there. But also with what the enemy team already has currently on the other side, it does look like it's going to be very much a front to back kind of composition. So Mundo tends to thrive in those where he can just run right through you and kind of go where he pleases. So curious to see what the rest of the composition ends up following through here, because it looks to be both these teams are probably going to play fairly front to back.
Yeah, I really like the Mundo pickup because it does, as you said, set up that front to back. It creates a very solid front line for your Karma and Varus to stand behind. It also massively out clears the Xin Zhao in the jungle. I'm talking like 10 seconds faster almost in most cases. Especially on that first clear where getting to the crab, making sure you're covering your lane shove is so important. This Mundo pick is likely going to be very strong in this game. Ari as well going to create some nice priority for the Mundo to potentially do some cheeky invades later on.
Yeah, so slight deviation. Obviously, Ari is not the greatest of front to back champions, but she is very good at pick compositions where she can just ult in with the charm and trying to layer the CC with the Varus and all that good stuff. So, not the traditional front to back with a control mage all the way behind them, but the brand being chosen here, in my opinion, definitely one of the better champs on the patch with DFT. I know it got hotfixed a little bit, so it's not nearly as strong, but this champion with DFT, Rileys, all the burns and the possible kit, it is a very annoying champion to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, especially versus a Mundo where you're trying to burn down such a high HP target. It has a lot of wave clear with the QE, or sorry, the WE. You'll just be able to burn an entire wave down. But it looks like that Ornn will be the last lock in. And is that going to be Trundle top?
It looks like it. It's going to be a Trundle top into the Ornn. Obviously, a pretty atypical counter into the Ornn. You have the subjugation to get rid of the Ornn's, obviously, resistances. And anytime Ornn's trying to E away, you can just pillar his face and he'll dash right into it and he can't actually move. So it's one of those things where it can be a possible counter pick, but at the same time, there is still that Mundo in the team. So they do kind of have that flexibility.
Yeah, I think it might actually be a jungle counter. Because Trundle is a well-known, notorious Xin Zhao counter when it comes to the dueling prowess that this champion has. And I believe, yeah, these are the correct sides. Oh no, they are not. These sides are flipped. So it's going to be the current side on your right is going to be on blue side, and the current left side is going to be on red side. But yeah, it looks like that Trundle is going to be in the jungle, and it's going to be matched up against that Xin Zhao as it looks like we're gonna have just two tank matchups in the top line. It's all right. We're coming back here. This is all to be expected. Little bumps in the road, but we promise you we will get this ironed out and sorted. We got the best group of producers back here, and every little bug is a fun little surprise just waiting to happen.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be one of those things where, I guess, as we get into the game here, it's gonna be interesting to see just how blue side's composition here with XSV, or excessive, I should say, excessive Hydra. It's gonna be interesting to see how they actually deal with this Mundo and the Trundle, because the Trundle is kind of cause a menace with his pillar, with the 3 immobile, I guess technically the 4 immobile characters in this game. It's gonna be very hard for them to actually pilot a lot of these situations. Ezreal should be fine for the most part in a lot of these fights, but when that Trundle pillar falls down, especially on the Seraphine or on the Xin Zhao or the Brand, it can be very, very hard for them to actually be able to maneuver while they're trying to dodge Charm or Varus ultimate, all those good things.
Yeah, it also really heavily punishes, I think you said this, the immobile carries and characters on this XSV team, or sorry, on this XSV team. The only one really able to walk away from pillar is going to be that Ezreal. Even Ornn not going to be able to do anything. It'll try and E away, and CJ Lopez will just snap interrupt the searing charge with that pillar and stop him from moving. But getting into this game, we are back. The CCS is back in live. Our lock-in tournament has officially started. Both junglers going to be pathing down to these bot lanes, and we'll have to see which of the monster priority AD carry support duos will be able to support their jungler first.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, with the tanks being on the top side of the map, you probably are probably not going to be pathing towards them anyway. So playing for that bottom crab is going to be very, very important this game. So really, it's just going to come down to whichever side actually has the push on the bottom side of the maps. Right now, obviously, it's pretty fairly dead even. But I think if the bot side of Monexia, and Loveless, if they really wanted to garner the push, they probably could most easily get it because they have extra damage in comparison to the Ezreal Seraphine at this stage of the game. But really, they don't necessarily have to worry about that for about another minute or so by the time the junglers are actually down there ready to contest this crab. But for the most part, this early game should be somewhat stale in terms of what the proactivity, unless there's going to be action towards the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, and as these junglers path down, there is going to be a ward on the Xin Zhao's Raptors that both teams will know about. So the Xin Zhao will path knowing that he was spotted on Raptors. And as we see, the Mia ping is going down onto Sutek's red buff. And I'm curious to see if anyone is going to deviate from the standard 6 camp clearance. It looks like Sutek might actually potentially be dragging that red towards the lane to go for a early gank onto the bot lane. But keep in mind that getting that full clear and getting those camp timers on respawn is so important in this type of game where, you know, you're going to want to be walking into enemy jungle. And so you want to have that free time. And it looks like CJ Lopez and the side of Dorado Gaming are going to get the first move onto this crab.
Yeah, it's going to be
Maybe
just
CJ
CJ Lopez just being completely faster on the clear. He has the opportunity to be able to possibly live for the brand here. He is going to face check him. He does have the pillar to slow.
Here we
He finds out.
go. Yeah, so Yuki gonna flash away. MBK though, still holding that charm. Is gonna go wide though. Say Yuki trying to go for the first blood. Gets the start of CJ Lopez, but not much to go there. First blood of the CCS lock-in tournament gonna go to NBK.
Yeah, I think that's just really bad position there by Set Yuki. I think he had to have known that both junglers. Obviously, there's not 100% information, but I feel like you kind of have to have the intuition of top laners are tanky champions. You need to be able to probably pathing down away from them. So positioning towards the bottom side of the mid lane river is just kind of asking for it at that point, especially since your jungler was already basing and kind of pathing down the same way. So a bit unfortunate for him in that situation, burning his flash and still dying for it. But we do see Sutek trying to invade the Krugs. He is in a pretty peculiar situation.
Yeah, CJ Lopez gonna find him, gonna use that pillar to slow him down. Now Sutek gonna use that third Q to knock him up for the time being. But Kalaji is here first, flash coming out from Sutek, and the match from CJ Lopez. And this is starting to be a trade from Dorado Gaming, as CJ Lopez has now participated in the first 2 kills of this game and is off to a fantastic start.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just a complete liar when I said that there probably wasn't going to be a whole lot of action going towards the bottom side of the map, but Sutek being a little aggressive there, he definitely should have recognized the fact that, especially by Trundle killing his mid laner, all you had to do is click your tab and go, okay, this is how many camps he's cleared, and so he should have known that a full clear had happened all the way down the map, and should have known that the top Krugs would be the next camp to respawn. So a little bit misfortune there for him, not quite paying attention to his tab, to his scoreboard, ends up being the result of his death.
Yeah, I think it was a combination of not quite knowing where CJ Lopez went after the mid gank, because we saw him waiting to see if the Trundle would go to that top crab, and then spent so much time waiting and waiting, didn't see the Trundle, and thought he might have gone somewhere else. And so when he saw those Krugs were up, maybe he thought the Trundle had pathed past them or gone to do some other kind of invade, but unfortunately misread the situation. As Stubby getting a nice trade onto Kali G. Call the Forge God comes in, and it's gonna be a solo kill, tank on tank violence.
Oh, Stubby taking advantage right there. I like the use of the initial W passive. He gets the initial brittle auto attack to really make sure he procs Mundo's passive, which inherently deals damage to Mundo if he doesn't repick it back up. And then he uses the Call of the Forge God to secure the kill on the back end. Actually, some mechanical prowess there on the Ornn for the emergency substitution.
Yeah, no, some great gameplay coming out from the XSV top laner here, as I think Ornn, if I'm not mistaken, was one of their preferred champions to play in this game. As we look back, the delayed invade from Sutek and that death on the top side has really slowed down the Xin Zhao's clear, so much so that CJ Lopez is going to be able to use the push from their bot lane once again to go for a bot side neutral, as this dragon is getting absolutely pummeled by the Trundle. And what is Sutek to do but try and walk around and find out? Going to be spotted on that ward, but it should not mean much.
Yeah, not too much that he can currently do with all of his camps being currently dead. He's probably gonna have to go back to the top side of the map. He is very, very behind the Trundle at this current moment, so he is gonna have to really make sure that the plays that he does makes are really gonna have to secure something for him because the current state of the game, by going for that Krug play, really set himself behind, unfortunately. But he is still Xin Zhao. He does still have the Enchantress powering him up. As the game does progress. But we do see trying to look for a cheeky little play there, but unfortunately for Set, Yuki not quite able to land that Blaze stun, or I guess the Q stun there off of the Blaze there in the mid lane. But like I said, it's going to be fairly slow for the for the most of this game in terms of just, especially like with how these champions are operating. Most of these champions are ultimate reliant. We're talking about the Ornn, the Seraphine, the Ahri. Like a lot of these champions really only play when their ultimates are off of cooldown. So if they don't have access to those abilities, most of these champions probably won't be doing too much action.
I gotta say, looking at this bot side, I think Maddie and Levantine are doing a good job at staying healthy during this 2v2, as we see. Maybe Caster cursing this a little bit as the Chain of Corruptions falls out. And Maddie, 1 HP, gonna pop that. No, doesn't have barrier, in fact. But no, it's gonna be Loveless going down with a great stun from Levantine, as that's all it's gonna be. It's gonna be a kill for XSV, with a great counter kill onto Loveless, who stepped just a little bit too close to the tower and tanked too much. As I was looking at Maddie, but no, it was Levantine doing a great job in the supportal combat. Maddie getting a little bit close there, but to use the Arcane Shift to get away from them.
Yeah, trying to use the last little bit of health bar to secure those last little bit of minions. But yeah, like you were saying, Karma just a little bit too close to that turret, trying to be a little bit greedy, trying to secure the tether to finally pick up the kill onto Maddie. But being CC'd under the tower by the Seraphine's Encore resulted in their death. Choosing not to flash out of it was definitely a decision that I don't necessarily agree with, but trying to secure the kill at the end of the play, but unfortunately ends up not working out for them. So the pressure that the bot lane did have of Monoxia and Loveless is now slowly going back in the favor of Maddie and Levantine, and this does mean that Sutek being able to use his position to take on the Grubs, but possible play on Levantine here.
Uh-oh. Levantine stepping a little bit too far forward, has the flash available, choosing not to do it. Charm is going to land as the Ahri is just going to get a free kill onto the support of XSV. Great roam by NBK and a great trap set by Loveless.
Yeah, I like this decision to really go into the bottom side of the jungle here. You realize that, hey, Sutek is doing the top side of Raptors camp, so it's like, hey, we actually have the power and the ability to go into his jungle and really make that play. And Levantine not recognizing, but Sutek is going to be face checking.
Oh, Sutek, that's not the blast cone you want to take here. Sutek popping in, gonna be forced to use the flash and say, wait, no, gonna go back, but Ahri has the first move here. Smite gonna go towards CJ Lopez, and it's going to be an absolute heist for Dorado as Sutek not very happy to lose his red Bramble.
Yeah, unfortunately, Seraphine was just not quite there yet for that play, and Brand was receiving a wave underneath the tower. So even though it looked a little bit dicey towards the back end there with 4 members being in the area, it was actually truly only 2 people in the area that could really contest it. So able to get out of there with the skin of their teeth on that play. So able to get out of there just in time. So thankfully for Dorado Gaming here. But it is still a solid lead for Dorado Gaming Iota, mostly on the Ahri and the Trundle, which is 2 champions that you obviously would like for them to be very, very, I guess, ahead in this game. So in terms of the champions that can really do things and the ones that are able to go forward and make these plays, but Loveless being dashed on.
Sutek trying to get a little bit of a poke onto Loveless here. Gonna flash away from the Encore. Very nicely well done. This is why we saved the flash earlier, because I think if Loveless doesn't have flash there,
kill!
CJ Lopez getting another kill on the top side there. Trundle gonna do a nice little gank onto the Ornn, who unfortunately was pushed up and died with flash. No one uses their flash button tonight, Ryan.
Yes, choosing to save it for next lock-in game is definitely a decision, but I think it could also be one of those situations where without properly seeing it, like sometimes when you're that far pushed up in top lane, you've got a Trundle and a Mundo walking you down, it can be even hard to just escape them. So sometimes saving it for a better situation can be possible. And kind of like what you were saying with the Karma situation there, if that Encore would have hit True Shot Barrage over the top, definitely would have secured the kill against him. So ultimately ended up saving his life at that point. I think the Karma play where he invaded the red buff, I think even if he did flash that one, he was probably not living that play, considering there was 3 people in the area that could have easily followed him afterwards. But yeah, it's definitely kind of interesting to see, like, obviously with this lock-in tournament, it is a little chaotic, but
Oh,
Sayuki's put them
Sayuki,
here.
you have people in your lane here. Archar going to go forward and miss wide. The flash coming up for the brand is going to be really nice, but there's just too much
Oh
damage
my
and too
gosh.
much CC coming out for the Dorado Gaming side. And XSV's mid laner is going to take a little bit of a break from the game.
Yeah, that was insane damage from the brand passive there at the very end. I thought there was a possibility that MBK would have actually ended up falling, but the Ari passive charm, Ari passive with the healing from the W, and as well as all the other abilities coming through from the Karma, able to save him up there. But possible contest of the Dragon City Sutek is going too early.
Yeah, no, it's going to be the grand challenge, and it's not going to be enough, though, as Maddie too far forward, going to be forced to flash and shift out as TP coming in now from the brand. No ulti available, though, but CJ Lopez is very low. Sayuki could be able to win this fight by themselves here, is going to push them off, going to use the Pillar of Flame as TP's coming in from our top laners here. Mundo will arrive first. Sayuki going to get caught. No flash yet available. The charm going to land from MBK onto the brand, and it's going to go down. Great snipe from Anaxi here as Kali G is going to keep the zoning going on, and XSV doesn't have any option but to let them take the dragon. A great team play coming out from Dorado Gaming and a great TP from Kali G to make sure that the zoning is there, and Sayuki unfortunate to go down, but that's going to be now 2 dragons to the side of Dorado Gaming, and it will be, I believe, a Mountain Soul on the map.
Yeah, huge swing there. Obviously, Dorado definitely ahead for the most part in the early stages of the game. I think I had like 2,000 gold, but now up to 4,000 gold, securing their second dragon of the game. And I think honestly, for a lot of that was mostly built upon Sutek just going way too early in the fight. I felt like they actually had a pretty good position. If they were a little bit more coordinated, that fight could actually go probably fairly well for Excessive Hydra. But unfortunately for them, Sutek goes a little bit too early, not quite able to be as tanky as he needed to be for his teammate to survive and be able to build up that meta sustain. And unfortunately, the rest of the team fight just did not go their way.
Yeah, I'm going to be completely honest. The play happened so I was trying to check ability names on my second monitor, and the play happened so fast that I didn't even notice it until it was over. But hey, that's the way League of Legends goes sometimes, and it's going to be a 7-2 kill lead for the side of Dorado, and it's going to be a 4,000 gold lead. This game is quickly snowballing away as the mid jungle of Dorado Gaming are doing absolutely insane. Oh my god, that jungle gold diff.
Yeah, definitely a very mid jungle